Good morning. I am Diane Simmons with Cake Connection in Jackson, Michigan. Living out our weird coronavirus snow day. I don't even understand this. So hopefully the weather's a little nicer where you are. But we're going to have some fun today and show you some different writing techniques. Give you some tips and tricks, and hopefully you'll get something useful out of this. Before we get going, let's whip down and show you today's prize package giveaway. Eric was checking our Zoom quality, hoping we aren't having more problems today. All right, so we've got some food color set from Chef Master, a couple different size disposable bag packages, some PME writing tips, which you'll get some use out of after today, and a few couplers. So be sure, say hi, give a shout out, let us know you're here so we can get you entered. Alrighty, without further ado, we're going to jump right in and get going. I had mentioned that we might do some frozen buttercream transfers today. We are not going to do that because I've got different stuff to show you, but I am, as long as we've got time, going to give you some different ideas for kind of fill-in like sheet cake tops. Okay, I think I can get through about 4 or 5 of those. Won't take me too long to show you those, so we'll save the buttercream transfers for probably next week. And then also next week, on Monday, just if you want to mark your schedules and put us on the blocks, I am going to do a 2-tier cake. So we'll show you some stacking methods, okay? I will show you exactly what I've done over the years. If you don't know already, I mainly do, when I was doing cakes, I was mainly doing wedding cakes. So, very focused on that. So I do have a lot of experience with stacking cakes, so we're going to give you some tips, tricks, whatnot. Again, that's on Monday at 11 a.m. We'll be doing that. And then I will do the buttercream transfers one day next week too. And then I'm not sure what we'll do for the third day. We'll have to figure that one out. So, jumping into the writing. One thing, probably if I can stress, we'll have Eric zoom down here now. Again, don't forget, give a shout out, say hi, let us know you're here so you can get entered to win. So, for writing, I just have a tip 3, I believe. Oh my gosh. This can't be my eyes. This has got to be the tip. Okay, it's a tip 3 that I've got on there right now. Okay? With any writing though, the biggest thing, and this is just some parchment paper. Get some parchment paper, some wax paper, something. Just sit and practice with this, okay? Biggest thing you don't want to do is drag like a pencil, okay? So if I sit here and try and write like this, whoops, you can't write straight or anything, and it's just, it's kind of mission impossible, all right? So what you want to do is just slightly, I've got to slow down a little bit here so I can explain to you what we're doing. So you want to squeeze, just touch down real quick, lift up, and let your icing fall down. When you're done, just go down and just kind of tap down to get it to stop. Okay, so you tap to start, tap to stop. Okay, but let the icing fall. Whoops. Well, that's a good thing to show you here. If your icing is not cooperating and goes where you don't want it to, you can go in with a toothpick and lift it and get rid of it, or put it back in line where you want. And go back and hit the edge of it and keep going. Okay? So toothpick's very, very handy with this. You could also use a little needle tool, okay, just to hop in there, lift something off. If you're not happy with it, okay. So that is also another benefit when you're letting the frosting just drop down onto your cake. It's not super stuck. Not a really good word, but it's just kind of laying on top of there right now. Okay? So, practice first thing, just get yourself so you can do straight lines, okay? Once you can do that, and if you notice, I'm using my other hand basically as a guide to kind of hold my hand steady. If I just come out here and just try and freehand out here, I'm a lot more shaky than if I put my hand here and just use it as a guide, okay? So once you've got your lines down, then just start practicing doing different shapes, okay? And I'm just, with all these, kind of touch down to start, then lift my bag up a little bit, squeeze, and then I'm stopping once I get where I want to go, okay? And again, if you notice, I brought this up the other day. I will bring this up all the time. I'm not squeezing this whole bag of icing, okay? That is too much to have control of it. So I'm just kind of chopping it in half, spinning that, and squeezing it between my thumb and my first finger, okay? You only want what you can control that you're squeezing, okay? So just squeeze, go where you want to go. But just keep that tip right around 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch off your surface, okay? Now, if you don't squeeze very hard, so I'm going to intentionally not squeeze hard, and I'm going to try and go in a circle. Okay, you're kind of pulling. You're not going to get the effect you want. So this is why I say practice. You've got to squeeze a little bit hard to force it out of the bag, and it'll go where you're going, okay? So, that's just some practice to get going with it. All right, on to putting that writing on top of your actual cakes.
Can you talk about the icing a little bit? What type you're using?
Okay, I am just using some buttercream icing. Okay, it's just my standard recipe. I don't thin it, thicken it. I honestly, there's very little when, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. Really, other than piping flowers, and even then, not too often. I might thicken it up a little bit for flowers, but for the most part, I really didn't alter. What I iced with is what I wrote with, is what I did my borders with, everything. So I really didn't alter the consistency or anything on my icing, okay? That's just me. That works for me. If you're struggling with it, yeah, you may definitely want to try. A lot of people will use corn syrup. Okay. Just some light corn syrup. You can stir in like a teaspoon of this into about a cup of icing, and that will help it flow a little better if you know you're going to do a bunch of writing or scroll work. If you're going to try doing any drop strings, anything like that, if you've got a lot to do, this may help you to put some corn syrup in there, okay? Definitely not, it's not a have to kind of thing, but certainly an option, okay? So if you're struggling, don't just automatically say, it's not working, I give up. No, try something else, okay? Try thickening, try thinning, work with your icing a little bit, see what you need to do, but, okay? I'm just trying to give you some different methods here to get there, but you may have to tweak your own personal icing, all right? So I have just covered some cardboards with a thin layer of some buttercream today, okay, just to give you some different ideas. I certainly wasn't going to make that many cakes to play with. So I have printed out some different fonts of happy birthday, done some different layouts, okay? I know most people have a printer, but if you don't, you can still do your writing on here without worrying about that. So let's first hop in. Actually, let's say you don't have a printer, but you still want to get some straight writing on there, okay? Dental floss. I know you're probably sitting there going, what? But you can take some dental floss and just lay it down gently on top of your icing, okay? That will give you a straight line. If you don't have a printer to work with, I would still recommend take a piece of paper and write out what you want to do. If you want to say happy 3rd birthday Billy or whatever, write that out. Turn your paper so you've got about the space that you want to use for it. Write that out, okay? Just the main reason that I kind of stress that and say, write it out, you want to be able to know that your spacing is right, okay? So yeah, you can keep a straight line, but if you've been doing cakes a while, if you've tried to do like probably a graduation cake is the main thing I remember. One of the first graduation cakes I did, sitting there writing congratulations. You think you've got it in your mind where it's going to fit. Sit there writing along real big because you got a big, huge sheet cake. And you got to write this huge word on there. You get going real nice and big. And you get down to the end and it's like, oh my gosh, I've still got to fit shuns in there. And you've only got this much space at the edge of your sheet cake. So then you end up looking real weird on it because, of course, you wrote it in the really super dark school color of burgundy or black or red or something. So this, if you at least write it out on some paper, and if you've got, a big sheet cake you're working with, cut a couple strips of paper, tape them together, write your word out, though, so you've got your spacing, okay? Even if you can't print it out, at least print it out on the space that you've got. Okay. Again, if you don't have the printer to get everything centered and whatnot, I would recommend so if, for example, let's see, just let me grab some paper. Okay, so if you had great big sheet cake and you wanted to write out congratulations, we'll take a couple pieces of paper set this aside here. Okay, and oops. Oh my gosh, I have no sharpened pencils here. Tons of pencils over there and none of them sharpened. That's okay. Ah. All right. Oh, look at Eric handing me one. Okay. So, just up here, if I want to write out congratulations. All right. I'm going to write it out and then count out my letters. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So we're going to come back in here. I think my U is going to be my center. 2, 4, 6, 7, right? 7, 2. Okay. So, figure out your center letter. Okay? And you're actually going to get your center lined up. Obviously, if you can see, my ruler here is a little bit worn. But if you have a not so worn ruler, okay, so get your space that you've got, find your center, all right, and then mark that letter in there, okay? So I'm going to go with my U in there, all right? And just kind of space them out. And no, I can't spell backwards. This is why I've got it wrote up there. Oops. G-N-O. Whoops. Okay. So at least get it spaced out a little bit so you know. If you're not happy with it, go back in, erase. I've got that a little bit closer right there. Okay. But this is just to give you an idea. So, okay, now if I had, I think that's actually going to be too long even for my, yeah. So, if we had the full top, so imagine this were the top of a full sheet cake, all one big long one here. Then you could go lay this just gently above where you wanted to write, and you'd know your spacing. Okay? Any questions with that? Hopefully that made sense. Okay. And again, you could take a great big long, if you were doing the sheet cake, just take a big longer piece of some dental floss, lay that down. Put your word up above, you've got your spacing, you've got a straight line to follow, okay? It's going to get you a little closer than where you were. So, if you have a printout of what you want to write, okay? If you want that all on one line, you can leave it as so and just set it up above. If you want to do two different, okay, so if I want to do happy birthday, like that, all right? This, I know this sounds absolutely bizarre, and you're probably sitting there thinking, she has bumped her head, there's no way that's going to help anything. I promise, if you just take what you want to write and have above or below, okay? You may have to practice a few, try, see what works best for you, okay? But just having that above you is definitely going to help you. I promise. Okay, it's going to keep your spacing up there. Okay, I am not going to come down and do the bottom yet, just because I've got my string sitting there. I'll come back and connect that on in just a minute. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Go back and connect those down. Okay. You've got that straight. Now I'm going to try and do the next one below. I work better having it above me, but I want to show you both ways. If you find that it works better for you above, obviously you do need to start with the bottom one first, okay? Up a little bit closer, probably right about there, I think. Okay. As I mentioned, I normally, if I were doing this, I run it above me, just because I don't find it works so well for me below. But practice it both ways, see what you like. Okay? Okay, go ahead and take that off to put my bottom of my Y on there. Go back and cross some dot. All right. So there, we had no pattern, no presses, but we just did our printout, a little dental floss, and we've got nice and straight on there. Okay. So, if that does not work for you, I've got another suggestion. Oops, this one I gotta sit down for. Just one sec here. Okay, so we have just a block of some foam. This is just some, well, you can see it's the green foam. You get like Joann's, any of your craft stores, Hobby Lobby, over in the silk flower section. Okay. Some aluminum foil. And a printout. Okay. So, oh, of course I only have one of these. That's all right. Okay. Let's do this big one. I'll show you how to separate it. I have another one already done here. I'll show you this one too. Okay, so I'm going to take your piece of foil, and normally I would work with a bigger piece of this. This is the only size block I've got here at the store right now. But we're going to make it work. Okay. Eric, can you grab me just a small piece of tape? Thank you. Okay. Before I get going, I'm just going to tape this on here because I know I have to pick it up and move it for my block. Okay. So that way everything just stays put. So, couple options here. My personal favorite is this. Can you zoom in and see that? This is a PME quilting wheel. Okay, we do sell those here in the store if you're interested. But if you have one already, this will be something new that you can go, oh, I can do that. Okay, It's just got a bunch of little teeth on it. It's just a little quilting wheel. Okay? So, I'm going to take that and literally just trace my letters. Okay? Now, it does get a little bit tricky when you're doing round. Okay? So just slow down a little bit, and then every now and then you may have to just pick it up and just kind of press it in instead of rolling it. Okay, depending on your font. Okay. And I'm just following around my printout. Let's get that part. Okay, there. I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but so basically I would just have to move over here and then start. And that's why I taped this one down, just because it's a little bit bigger than my foam block. Okay. So I can start on the next letters. Okay. So here you can see the back of that, what that's doing. All right. And I'm just going to set that one aside so you don't have to sit here and watch me do that whole thing. Well, earlier I did this happy birthday right here. Okay. So there you can see that. Is that showing up good on the, okay. And then flip it over. Can you guys see? It's basically pushed all those little indentations through there. All right. So if we go, now another thing I want to show you. Gosh, I can't even tell you how often. So, not every single cake, but the majority of sheet cakes that I did, I would use my oval cake pans as markers, okay? And so if I had my cake sitting here, I would use whatever size oval, you know, fit well with what I wanted to write. But I would go mark that on the cake where I wanted it, okay? So if, for example, and I don't have my oval set anymore because I don't actively do cakes anymore. But if I got back into cakes, that would be one of my first purchases, would be to go get my oval cake pans again, okay? So I would just do a light impression on in the icing. And again, I just used a cutter, just a flat cutter that I have. Purely because I don't have my oval pans anymore. All right, so I want to get this down just a little bit where I can see it better, where it's going. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of gently bend up around where I don't want it pressing in, okay? And I'm just going to look here and line that up with where I want it pressed in. I think we're good there. Now you can use a fondant smoother if you want to run along and just press that in. You could certainly just take your fingers and just kind of gently go tap all those in. Okay? You don't have to have anything fancy. But you've basically just given yourself a pattern for your writing. And that way you can use your nice fun fonts that there are, like I said, there are fonts all over the place on the internet. Dafont.com, DAFONT, has probably thousands actually of different fonts on there that you can download. Some are free, some are not, but I think the majority of them on Dafont are free. They may ask for a donation or something, but you know, that's up to you. Okay, but you can get all sorts of fun different fonts out there. But then once you've got that, you can go do your writing. Now this, I have a tip 42, a PME 42, which is that what I was using, if you watched the other day when I was doing the sheet cake and the side and stuff, it's the little rope tip that has, like I said, probably 20 or so little teeth up there on the end of it. This is just a smaller one. Okay, there's, I think, 3 or 4 different sizes available. 42, I believe, is the smallest one. And it's about the size of a tip 4 as far as the opening. This is a tip 4 here. Okay, so you can see, just for comparison's sake. Is that showing up on screen good? So then can I compare those? Mm-hmm. Okay. Eric's saying you can see that. So, like I said, it's about, you know, it's similar, like a 3.5 to a 4 right in there. Okay. So you don't always have to write with a round tip. All right. But it's still same theory.
Would you put an ice cake in the freezer so it's crusted a bit more, or would you go on right after smooth icing?
I would generally do this just after I use a crusting buttercream and would tend to just do this after it has sat for about 10 or 15 minutes and crust it over. Nice. Okay. Depending on your icing, I do not know, because I'm very honest here. I don't work with whipped icing, so I don't know what you're going to run into. If you can put that in the freezer just to firm it up enough to do any of this. I apologize, but I don't have a good answer, because it's not something, I've never cared for the taste of like the buttercream or any of that stuff, so it's just not something that I've done over the years. Okay. And trying to write fast here for you. Okay. So there, you've got kind of a fun, different font there. But you don't have to have all the fancy presses and everything to work with it. You just need a quilting tool, a printer, and go find your font. Okay? If you don't have a quilting tool, not sure it's something you want to invest in, there is another option. You can just take, just going to do it here on the same piece. Okay, you can just take any sort of a pin. All right, this happens to be one of the needle tools, but again, you can just use, you know, if you've got, make sure it's something clean. Okay, but even just like a craft needle, sewing needle, anything like that, okay? You can just go along here. And I am not going to sit here and do this whole thing by any way, shape, or form. Okay? I'll just do this first letter and show you. Okay? There, we just did the H on there. Okay? So that's right here. And that's just taking a needle, poking through All right? So you can get your pattern that way. Okay? So there's a few ideas for that. Then, I just want to show you if you want to incorporate a couple colors. This rope tip that we used, again, that was the 42 by PME, okay? Then I've got a tip 2 on here. And you can just go back over the top of this. And just kind of dress it up a little bit with a second color that you're working with. Okay? Doesn't necessarily have to be white. But if you've got, a little girl's birthday and they said, oh, they love pink and purple, or, whatever, and gave you 2 colors that they really wanted to work with, this is a great way to bring in 2 colors together, okay? So there you can see the difference using 1 or 2 colors on there. All right. And then what I typically would do out around that is just take a star tip. This is a 16, so a little bit smaller star tip on there. Okay. And just do some sort of a scroll pattern on there. And I'm not trying to follow the cutter that I used. Obviously it had the little ripple pattern on there, the scalloped edge. I'm not trying to follow that, or I'm just more so looking for the oval shape. Okay. And just doing a quick. Okay, and don't forget, if you just joined us a little late, be sure and give us a shout out. Let us know that you're here so you can get entered to win our giveaway today. We have a few PME tips, some food color, some disposable bags, and couplers. Okay? So there we've got that. And then, so I'm going to show you just some quick little cake tops. This one we did something like this the other day. Just, oh, fudge knuckles. Okay, icing on the loose. All right, I just put a leaf tip on here. And I can do a lot, just a quick little something. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to use some pre-made flowers real quick. Just set some in here. This is just to give you some ideas, okay? And popping on a tip 2 on the pink here. making a mess of my bag while I'm at it. There we go. And I'm going to go back on my green. Oops. And putting our tip 3 back on there. Just going to run out some stems too. Okay. I'm just going to go pop a few. I'm just doing some quick little flower bud looking things here. Okay, I'm literally just squeezing out almost kind of like a small shell shape. This is just to kind of give the illusion that there's some flower buds out here. Okay. Just a quick and simple. All right. So there you've got a cake topper. And I'm not going to put writing in the center of all these right now. Just going to give you some quick ideas for filling out around your writing. Okay. So this one I used to do a lot with cakes for females that they just want something kind of nice and elegant, but not. Oops, that's tip 3. I want the 2 back on there. You know, if they called and said, "Oh, it's for my mom," just something kind of nice, elegant looking. She's not really into anything. Just throw some pink flowers on it and write "Happy Birthday, Mom." Happy Mother's Day, something like that. Okay. And I just have a tip 2 on here. And I'm just doing a loose, not really any sort of anything. Okay. But then I'm going to go back in and just add some scroll work back into it. Okay. Again, you can put in as much as you want or as little as you want. And then a lot of times I would come off of it with some dots also. So I'm just doing a little less pressure. Okay. So kind of start with a little bit bigger one, come off with maybe 2 or 3 dots. Okay, and just kind of fill that in with the look that you want. But then, and again, I'll go finish all these up later, just so you can see them, okay? But then I would go back in and just pop some flowers in there, here and there, on that scroll pattern, okay? So do something like that, and then you've got Happy Birthday Mom in there. All right. Or whatever you need written in there. Okay. And again, I will finish all these off. After we get done, I'll post pictures. I don't want to make you sit here and watch and watch and watch for ever and a day. Okay. I'll get you the basic ideas though. Okay. Something for, okay, I'm going to say for a guy's cake, but I don't have guys' colors made right at the moment. But I would do something like this a lot, where if they, and I'm sure, a lot of you have ran into this, they just don't give you ideas as far, oh, they're not really into anything, or, okay, but you got to do something to kind of dress the top of this up. You can't just write Happy Father's Day or Happy Birthday Dad or whatever and just leave it, okay? So I would go through and just, I sit here and just keep going even on both sides, okay? And line all this up. Oops. All right, and then I may very well lay a paper down just to give myself a straight line if I had something, this lengthy, if I wanted to go out to the corner here. So I go here, get out here, so I've got myself, and then I just kind of start splitting and splitting things in half. Okay? But something like this, it'll just kind of break up the top of the cake a little bit for you. Okay? And again, if you've got, for guys, a lot of times I would grab like brown and blue. So I might come back in here and do another line. Typically if I were going to do this, this would be my second color of it. Or I would do every other dot. Like, again, if I were doing brown and blue, for example, for a man's cake, I might do brown, blue, every other dot. Or I would do this whole row brown, this whole row blue, brown, blue, like that. Okay? Okay, here I'm just kind of eyeballing, splitting the difference between these two. And now that I've got a line there, I'm going to go back and split that. Okay. So it's just something that you've got your writing, and then you can do something off each end just to kind of break it up a little bit. Okay. And another one that works, this is probably more something I would do for female cakes, but quick and easy. Okay. And actually, I gotta get a tip 1 on here. Just a second. I did not grab any tip 1s out. Well, here's a tip 1.5. That'll work. If you're not familiar, PME has tips 1.5. For those times when a tip 2 is just a little too big and a tip 1's a little too small. Okay? This is going old school, I know, but it is just kind of cool looking. Okay? Let's see, this one was I think it was called Sodas lace. There was Sodas and Cornelli lace, and I might be saying it backwards out. The one was just sitting here. Literally use a very small tip and just let it sit here and build up. I am squeezing this super hard, and it will just naturally kind of fall on top of each other like this. All right. And it just builds up on there. But if you have, females, it's delicate, dainty looking. And it kind of looks like, oh my gosh, they did something really intricate. Nope, I sat here and squiggled on the cake. But again, I'm not doing anything other than just kind of moving my hand a little bit. You know, I'm just kind of doing this motion just a little bit. I'm squeezing very hard though, and it will just naturally build up on there. Okay? And again, you can see, super quick, super easy. All right, you can go back and fill in if you got spots that didn't cover quite as much as you wanted. But then you could just go pop a few flowers in the corners. I cannot put just 2 flowers because that's just wrong. You gotta do odd numbers. Okay. So another something kind of quick, simple, but it dresses up the top of the cake. Looks like you did holy wow. You'll impress them at the Oscars with it. Okay. So there are some writing tips for you. Some quick little filler toppers for some different sheet cakes. Again, I will finish these up and take some pictures and put them on the website or the Facebook page for you. Okay? Give me probably about 10-15 minutes and I'll have them all finished off real quick and then throw them up there. Okay? If you have any questions, holler. Oh, we got to do our drawing. Eric, do we have a name today?
We do, in fact.
We do, in fact. All right.
Beth Holt Shaw.
Beth Holt Shaw. All righty.
That was his name?
Congratulations, Beth. Is it Holt or Holtz? Holt?
It just says Holt, like the town, and Shaw.
Okay. Beth Holt Shaw. Congratulations. You have won our prize giveaway today. Woohoo! Just send me a message with your mailing address and I will get this shipped out to you. Okay? And again, on Monday, we will be doing a stacked cake, which I will give you some different pointers and tricks and stuff on stacking your cakes up so you can drive with them. I used to drive all over the place with my cakes all stacked up. And I even took a 5-tier cake up to Lansing one day. That was definitely the probably the most stressful drive I've ever had, but I got her there in one piece. So